Remember the first time that I saw Twitch
Yeah.
and you put that Twitch lure in the water, in the glass, and I just looked at it and all I saw was brilliant. That was a masterpiece.
So we have to go to Newark, New Jersey tomorrow.
Oh my gosh. Let's jump right on a plane. Let's do something.
It's
And
still
then,
good when
and then we went out.
It's still a giant lure. The only problem is you don't get paid for it because everyone on the planet knocks everything, you know the drill. Everybody knocks everything off.
Yeah, it's awful. It really is awful because, you work so hard on that. I mean, tell me about how many prototypes and tell me about all the money involved in that.
Well,
if you want to.
No, I didn't.
I mean, it's an interesting story.
I'll tell that story. The first time I really ever thought about it was, I would say, probably around 1980, and I was living in Park City, Utah. But I was in the summer we would fly fish in Montana all summer, and I was fly fishing on the Madison River right outside of Ennis, Montana. And we had pulled the drift boat over, and I was standing in this giant pool. And a salmon fly hatch went off. And salmon flies are giant. And when if salmon fly hatch happens, they hit the water and they float like a destroyer, through the rapids. And when it happens, all the giant big rainbows and browns, because they're a big bug, come up and start eating them. And I had a salmon fly, a fake imitation salmon fly on my line. And I was watching that float through those rapids. And all the live ones around it that were moving a little bit, the fish would eat. And mine that didn't move, they wouldn't. And that was the first time.
The only one.
That was the first time I ever thought about if you had a lure that moved by itself. And so I started working on the twitching lure. And from concept to finally having a lure that I would sell on the market, I think there was like 20 trips to China and 17 or 18 different prototypes that all fell apart and broke every single time we'd get back. And, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars there. And then another 140,000 to get the patent, which, doesn't get defended.
Right.
And then trademark and copyright. And then you had to do that same thing in numerous countries because it was selling all over the world. And then when you introduced me to Keith Merchandani, TriStar, I was paying for everything until then. And then they at least came in and they ordered about, I think, 600,000 and started spending money on the media. And that's when it exploded. And the sad part is we were all doing very well. And it just exploded just then. And then the knockoffs took us over.
Yeah.
And we sued 800 people. We sued 800 people. We spent $1 million. We sued 800 people, and we never got a dime because you can't sue a post office box in Shenzhen, China. So it was a big lesson.
Amazing.
It was a big lesson in after like yourself and myself doing so many products in so many years, and I've invented a number of products, and you have to be nowadays. We have to be so careful about trying to create something they can't knock off.
Right.
That's the trick.
Inventing your own category.
And, a lot about it is about being made nowadays, and not to offend anyone, but made in USA and, or made in it doesn't have to be made in the USA, but to prevent it, it's very difficult to stop the knockoffs. You have to be, I'm involved in some different soils now. It'd be very difficult for them to knock me off, okay? They're not going to knock off dirt, right? and shipping dirt is difficult. But if you invent a widget and you go on Shark Tank, and while you're on there, they're looking at it and they like it. By the time you get off, they already made it, and it's on Alibaba and every place else. So it's trying to find a category. Like it would be hard for them to knock off Ben and Jerry's. Okay,
Right.
It would be impossible, and that's a $1 billion company. You know, I mean,
sure,
you can still create a $1 billion company nowadays, but you have to look for. I believe you have to look for those niches that you can control the entity. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, would you?
I mean,
do you agree with that?
Absolutely. Look at. I mean, tell us about Serious Skincare. That's a great example of having control over a category.
I mean, Serious Skincare had a 19-year run, you know, and now it's relaunching again. And the only one that really knocked off Serious Skincare was Proactive, and Proactive with Guffey Ranker, and now I heard they just sold Proactive, and they're getting ready to fire up again. You know?
Wow.
So it's skincare, you know. I'm working on a new skincare that you drink.
I like the sound of that.
You don't put it on it. You don't put it on. You drink it. I'll let you know more in the future on that one.
That's interesting.
Because skincare I have a bunch of new skincares right now. I have one called Seams, which is from a lady from Miami, girl named Karen. She's from London actually, and it's a hand cream and it's pretty amazing. And then I have another one from an Israeli friend of mine from New York called Earthens. You can Google Earthens, and it's one of the only peptide skincares. It's expensive, but it's amazing. It's truly amazing. You know, skincare, and I've done a lot of skincare. I did Serious Skincare with Jennifer, and I did Generations with Vendela, and you know, I'm doing a bunch more now. But skincare, and then we know the beauty group, you and I, very well, and we ship and handle all their products for them out of our logistics center. But we know that whole team, and their products from South Korea, and
that's the hot products right now.
The world
in skincare.
That's doing very, very, very well right now with Chelsea Scott, and I love her. I think she's fantastic. Okay, and the world, but it doesn't matter. The world will always search for a new skincare. Always.
Absolutely.
The Fountain of Youth.
You know what I went back to?
Go ahead.
Olive oil.
Olive oil?
Yeah.
Well, you know what?
I put it on my arms, put it on my face.
You know what they're touting now is what is it, taro? What's the beef swallow?
Oh, tallow, yeah. Beef tallow.
Tallow. They're touting that now heavily again.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, and I believe that. But the world is always searching for a new skincare. The new dream will always, if you have a good enough story, they'll accept it.
That's what it is. It's all about the story, the background of it.
That's right.
You know, it's the romance of it. It's almost like a wine or something really, like, you know, really fancy like that. You know, it has to have a story, otherwise it won't work.
Yeah, but they'll never stop searching.
No,
they won't.
How many patents do you have, Bobby?
I think somewhere like 21 or 22.
That's amazing. What year did you meet everybody from Home Shopping, Roy and Ben? And tell me that story. That's a great story, how you guys met.
Okay, so I had a real estate brokerage firm in Telluride, Colorado, and this was in what was 19. So I moved there in 1985, and I think it was probably 1989 or 1988. Home Shopping, I believe they started in 85, just started the concept and bought that campus in Clearwater and started to just function. That's back when, Bob Acosta and Benny and Jim Lawless, and they had to drive the products to the people, and they were only advertising in the area,
Right,
So
right.
in 1980, 88, I had a brokerage firm in Telluride. I had a home in Del Mar, California, and I had been given this product by my sister's father-in-law who worked for NORAD. And it was a swimming pool ionizer that stopped chlorine use completely. Well, chlorine ruins your teeth, your clothes, your hair, your pool, your plumbing, the land. 10 million gallons of chlorine goes in the ozone every single day. It's there's nothing good about it other than the chemical companies want to keep selling it. So, which I found out the hard way. So anyways, we took this ionizer he made and we went and we rebuilt it. And they were expensive. They cost me about $400 to make. And I was trying to figure out how to sell them. And I was at my house in Del Mar and a friend of mine came by and he said, well, he goes, a good friend of mine, he owned a call center for Roy. And he said, you ought to go up to LA tonight and go to this meeting at Nikki Blair's on Sunset. And I knew Nikki Blair, and I knew the restaurant very well, and I knew Nikki who owned it. And the gentleman that owns Home Shopping is going to be there, and I'll call him and tell him you're coming and show him this product. And I said, okay. So that afternoon, I drove from Del Mar to LA, and I walked into Nikki Blair's, and I had an ionizer with me, and it was Roy Spear, the owner of Home Shopping, who was big. He was big, 6'5", right. Jabba the Hutt, I called him. I love Roy, but that's kind of my nickname for him. And he was with Ben White, who he originally called Benedictine Vincenzo Bianco. And then Roy Spear said, what does that mean? And Ben said, Ben White. And so he was Ben White. And then Doc McGee, who Doc McGee is one of the biggest rock and roll promoters in the world. You know Doc very well.
Yeah.
They say that the last earthquake in Los Angeles wasn't an earthquake. They say Doc dropped his wallet. And Doc,
that's true.
We love Doc dearly. Kiss, Bon Jovi, all of them.
My gosh. Kiss, Bon Jovi, Motley Crue. Oh.
Def Leppard, Jerry's Rocker, Thousand Horses, on and on and on. And then the Goon, Mike McGinley, Sting's accountant was sitting there and tour manager. And Paul Fusco, who is Alf, the puppet Alf, was sitting there.
Yeah.
And all of them were there for different reasons. The Goon was trying to sell Sting's music on Home Shopping. Doc was trying to sell a bunch of different music on Home Shopping. Paul Fusco wanted to sell Alf cells, the animated cells, on Home Shopping. So everybody was there for a different reason to meet Roy and Ben. So I sit down beside Roy and he says, son, show me what you have. I heard all about this. Now show me what you have. And I took it out and I said hello to all the boys who, by the way, all of them are still dear friends of mine to this day. And this was a long time ago, man. This was like 1988 and they're all still my pals. So anyways, I took
they're great out. And they're great people.
And they're wonderful. And so I took it out and I showed it to them and they were ordering drinks and dinner and food. And Nikki Blair came by and said, hi, Bobby. And because I ate with Sly in there a lot. And he said, son, we're partners. You're coming home with me tomorrow. And I said, what do you mean? He goes, I just drove up for the day. He goes, oh, no. You're coming home with Ben and I. We're flying back in my jet and we're going to do a deal. And I said, okay. So he said, Ben, get him a room. So we got me a room at the Bellagio and we had dinner and we had a bunch of drinks. And there's some other stories I could tell, but I don't know how far we're going to go with this.
Take it to the edge, man. Take it to the edge.
Don't hurt anybody. You can edit, right?
Sure.
Okay. So I was sitting there, my cell phone rings, and I just happened to know a bunch of very powerful Israeli boys, okay? Close friends, who I still love to this day, right? And they love me. And on the phone. I answered the phone and said, "Playboy, what are you doing in town without telling me?" And I said to my Israeli friend, "How did you know I was here?" And he said, "Because the bartender, he works for me. He saw you there." And he said, "I sent you a present." And I said, "Okay." So I'm sitting there with Doc and Fusco and Roy and Ben and, Goon, and the most beautiful girl you ever saw in your life comes walking through the door and walks over and sits down in my lap, and sticks her tongue down my throat. So the whole table now thought a lot more of me than they did 10 minutes earlier. And everybody's mouth dropped. And Roy Spear asked me if I had a date for him. So what happened after that? Let your conscience be your guide. But I ended up flying back to Florida the next morning with Roy and Ben and drinking cocktails on the G. When we go, this is a funny one. He had a Jetstar, an old Jetstar with 3 engines. And we got to the airport and on Van Nuys, and we went to get on the plane, and I sat down the seat, and Roy got on. He goes, "Bobby, you cannot sit there." He goes, "If I don't sit in that seat, this plane won't fly right." Because he was so big. He goes, "You get in the back with the Dago," meaning Ben, "and make drinks."
Oh, God.
And we flew back, and we had a great time. We landed here, and he gave me a credit card and got me a hotel room and sent me shopping. And I loved Roy. And the next day we went in and we set up the show. And about a week later, I had made like 4,000 of these things, and they cost me $400 to make. We were selling them for $750.
Wow.
We launch on home shopping. All right. And the show host is holding the unit. I'm watching from the green room. And she picks it up and goes to turn the dial, and she breaks her fingernail, and she goes, "Damn it, it's this thing." Well, we sold 16, and we had 11 returns. Okay.
Wow.
So now I have a building full of these units, and I can't give them away. Cannot give them away. I gave them away I went to Mexico, literally, and I went to schools and parks and hotels, and I gave and sold most of them in Mexico. It was the only way I get rid of them. I gave a lot to the San Diego School District, but I failed miserably. It was my first show on there. But what I did learn was, first of all, I should never have been selling a $750 price point at that time. Okay, that was wrong.
Yeah.
But what I did learn was how it worked. And my next show was Serious Skincare, and it was a massive home run.
Yep.
So we went from zero to hero, and then after that, it's just been, we've done on both networks, QVC, HSN, Value Vision, Shop at Home, Military Shopping Channel, the Outdoor Shopping Channel, which we built. Kevin and I built.
Right.
Kevin Harrington and I built the Outdoor Shopper, and then I helped run the Military Shopping Channel for Kevin, and with thousands and thousands of shows, an Outdoor Shopper, and infomercials, and on and on and on. It's just, lifelong. And we're still doing it. We still do it every single day,
Yeah.
Because it's fun.
Because
it's fun and it's exciting, and and it's fun and exciting if you know how to not get your ass kicked.
Yeah. Yeah, we're teaching people. That's why you and I get upset when we see people getting their ass kicked in this business. And you and I don't we've said it I've known you for over 10 years, Bobby, and we've said it for over 10 years. We don't like it when people rip people off and sell air to the inventor or the people that have different products. Yeah. All these seminars everywhere. They're charging a lot of money for that. Yeah, and we don't want to do that. We just want to partner with that, with any inventors and any people who have products, and just all be happy. Just doesn't need to be so big.
And we are inventors, and we've gone through the hard knocks of it, and we know what the real deal is, and we know what you should be paying for and what you shouldn't be paying for. And 90% of everybody out there is just charging you for ridiculous fees that you shouldn't be paying.
I hear some people are paying
and
$15,000 a month to be in these clubs with, these people that are going to help them bring their products to
they don't.
to life. $15,000 a month.
Yeah.
And they don't.
No.
So, you and I have been here a long time. We've seen that happen. We can make things happen. We're the people behind the scenes who have always made things happen for the other people.
Yeah, you always had your own enterprise going with your crew, and you had a great crew. You had probably one of the best crews ever. And if you could take the history of our business at a significant amount of time, you probably had the best crew running ever. Okay.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Kevin Harrington always has a great crew running. Right? And when I was with Benny White and with my partners, we had, and then you and I hooked up on numerous different occasions, and we all kind of crossed over. A lot of us crossed over at different times. But you guys had probably one of the best crews ever at that point. It's funny how long that I was here and you were here that we didn't connect,
I know.
Because we were both here kicking ass, taking names, but and everybody knew who you were and everybody knew I were. When I met you, they went, "What do you mean you don't know him?"
Exactly. That's the way it was and I was like, who? And then when I met you, I was like, I've known this guy forever.
Yeah. No, even Gus said, he goes, "Oh, Rick McIntosh is coming." And I said, "Who's that?" He goes, what do you mean you don't know him? You've been here this long?" So it was weird, but
everybody said the same thing to me.
You had Billy Mays and you had Hulk and you had Sully and you had a powerful gang. You had a powerful gang.
Yeah.
We crossed over on Randy Savage. We crossed over a little bit on Hulk. I didn't do very much with Hulk. I did more with Randy Savage. Randy Savage was we did Harley Davidson. Bob's are we there?
Yeah, I think so.
Bob's
still filming?
This is a blast from the past for you, okay?
Yeah, please tell me.
You, me. Okay, so we were doing QVC Italy, okay? And so we were not only going over there, but we were shooting a bunch of studio stuff in Clearwater. So it was Bob Sacosta and Ben White and myself and Mindy Grossman. Not Mindy Grossman, Mindy
McCourtney.
Mindy McCourtney, yeah. Who I love, by the way.
I talk to her just about every day.
Who I love, by the way. Tell her I told her that I love her. I've always loved her.
I will. She's a wonderful person.
I've always loved her. I've always had a big crush on her. Anyways, it was Bob Sacosta and myself and Mindy and Ben White. And we had...
I have a relationship with Mindy like you have with...
Tracy.
With Tracy.
We had this great big friend of mine, Scotty Gallen. You know who Scotty Gallen is. Scotty Gallen died on the plane with Aaliyah in the Bahamas in Marsh Harbor when Aaliyah crashed and got killed. Scotty was one of my dearest friends in the world. He was Tommy Mottola's bodyguard and Whitney Houston and Mariah Carey, and then he was Aaliyah's bodyguard and Sly's bodyguard a bunch of times. And he was with me for a month before he went down, but he got killed. But anyways, we were doing this. We needed to do this Harley Davidson shoot for Italy. And so we got Scotty Gallen, who was just giant, and his brother was the wrestler Tugboat. And we had Tugboat there. And then we got Randy Savage. And I'll never remember, Randy Savage comes walking into the set and he starts screaming, "Get me Ben White!" And he runs across the set and dives onto this table and smashes it in half. And that was the first time I met Randy Savage. He was a hot shit.
Oh my gosh, he was. Woo.
That broke my heart when he got killed.
He was an intense guy, and the way he died was awful.
Yeah, he was a really cool dude, bro. He was really a sweet person.
I adored him. I really did. I met him in a great
This is our
time in his
new
life.
Nebby right. This is our new Nebby right here. This is a new product called the Nebby. This is going to replace vape. That's water vapor.
Oh, really?
That's water vapor right there. That's not burning oil. It's water vapor.
Interesting.
That's THC.
So it's just really
Water vapor, THC, nano.
Nice.
Yeah.
Send me some samples.
I will. I'm going to send you, I have a whole boxes of them. I'll send you some down. It's really, really cool.
I'll put them on the show because I can actually, that way I can smoke on set because I was told that I can't smoke on set.
No, you can.
But I can water vapor. I can water vapor.
I will. You send me the address and I'll FedEx you a couple of them.
Oh, I love it. Yes, I will, sir.
Yeah, that's
I will send you the address.
A really cool new product. That's going to eliminate vaping. I'm telling you right now.
That's awesome. So, Bobby, what do you think of this whole what we're doing here? And
this is
you
what
and I have
think.
talked about this. This we talked about this for a long time.
I think that everyone in the world has a good idea. 70% are discouraged by being taken advantage of. Okay. And, you also know that 90% of my life is about raising money.
Yep.
That's all I do every day. We just got to be an avenue. Just got to be an easier avenue to get brilliant ideas. Give people a chance to bring brilliant ideas to the table, and it can't just be. It can't just you get look at the here's a statistic that's real. Okay, 60,000 people try to get on Shark Tank a year. 200 get on. 65% of that 200, those deals that they say yes to, don't happen. Okay. So out of 60,000, maybe 35 of those deals come somewhat to fruition. And then probably half of them, excuse my language, get fucked up. Okay. So probably maybe 20 deals a year get done on all that. Okay. That's not very many. All right. And then you got
there's a lot of bureaucracy, a lot of red tape.
Then you got a few dozen of these guys on social media come to us. We'll blow your mind. There's a couple of them that are real. Friends of ours that are on there that are real. 90% of those are full of shit too, and all they're there is to take your money. You're never going to get anything out of them. You're better off fighting the battle yourself. But there's got to be a better way. Even these companies that have reputable testimonials are full of shit. I'm sorry, but that's we battled when we brought products from a napkin to the shelf.
The napkin.
From a napkin to a shelf. Walmart, Bass Pro, Cabela's, Dick's, Target, Walgreens, CVS, wherever. From the napkin to the shelf, in our days, we did all that ourselves. There was no one. There was no one on Facebook to call up and go, "Yeah, let me give you $30,000 a month, and you can do this for me." All right? No. There was no one saying, "Oh, you need to do this, 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 this. This is what's real." Most people just still think a patent is what they're supposed to have, when really copyright is much stronger. Patents, unless the government's going to protect your patent, why spend all the money on them? Soon as you patent something now, they put it on Google 15 minutes later, and now it's easier for them to steal.
Let me tell you a story, Bobby. I don't know if you know this one. So I was working with Billy. I was helping Billy do all the demonstrations for OxyClean. I was doing a lot of things at home shopping, Ginsu knives and everything else. So I had this dream to do the coin map, the first quarters map that I invented. And
that was a good one.
Oh no, before
Go
that, I
ahead.
said,
I haven't
you
heard
know,
this one.
I was
I know that, but I just know that product was a good one. But go ahead.
I was really, I didn't have money. I was really looking for something like really steady, This was like 1999. I had just lost my restaurant in 1999. I was just climbing my way back. Billy gave me some accounts because he had to lead them. When Billy was selling OxyClean and Orange Glow, it really started to take off, and he was selling like 5 products on home shopping. So he gave me the Ginsu knives and a couple other ones and got me back into home shopping after I lost my restaurant. So I took that little year off from Home Shopping Network. And then I got back into there and I was looking for something really steady. And I just wanted that like a monthly stipend, monthly income, or weekly income. So Billy said to me, listen, you have a lot of ideas and you've been talking to Keith Merchandani at TriStar, and he has a lot of interest in working with you. Why don't you fly up there to meet him, to see his operation and everything? And I said, Billy, I don't even have the money to fly up there. I don't have the $600 to fly up there. And he said, call him and see if you fly up there, if he'll, meet with you. So I said, if I fly up, will you meet with me? He said, I'll spend the day with you. If you're taking your time to fly up, I'll spend the day with you. So we spend the day together. And Billy was coaching me before I went up there. And he's like, this is what you asked for. Ask for, $1,500 a month and then 2% of what you're selling on home shopping, because I was going to handle all of his accounts. So we're sitting in Keith's office, and it's the end of the day, and he says, all right, so how much do you want to make? And I go, 15. And I didn't get it out of I said, no, I said, let me write it down. So I started with 15 and I wrote it down. So I wrote 1,500 and slid it across the table to him. And he looked and he goes, 1,500 a week? I can do that. I was asking for 1,500 a month plus 2% and everything else. So I came home. He picked me up in a limousine. I went to the company. I'd never felt so important in my life. And next thing you know, all the samples started flying down. We had 12 products on home shopping. I was handling them all. I was getting the talent. Like you, I can match up the talent with the right product. That's one of our gifts that we've always had. I see it with you. You know that. And so I went back home and Billy was like, look at that. You were asking for, what's it, about $15,000 a year, and you come home with $75,000. So Keith says, when do you want to start getting paid? And I said, right now. And Keith put the CFO on the phone. He said, come on up and meet Rick McIntosh and bring him a check. And it was, from there, it was just perfect. And then right after that was when I had that vision and that dream to do the first quarters map. And I was already in bed with Keith, so it was just a natural thing to do. And from that coming from an idea, it was a Sunday night. From that coming from an idea, we were able to shoot that. We got the product made, the prototypes made from a printing company, local, and we shot the commercial. It was Mindy and her kids, and then the commercial was out, and that was all in 2 weeks. We did that all in 2 weeks. So it was so crazy. It was so awesome, but. It's one of those things you're not going to get the money if you don't ask for it.
No, it's like that reminds me of what happened with Serious Skincare. My really well, after I did the ionizer with Roy, and I kind of knew what was going on. I mean, want me to tell this story?
Yeah, I love this story.
Okay, so I was in. We had just suffered a massive defeat. Okay, sold 16 out of 11 returns. I'm back in Del Mar, sitting there. We lived on 38 acres right at Torrey Pines. Sitting there, trying to figure out what's the next move, figuring out really what needs to happen there. And there's a knock. Literally, there's a knock at my door. Okay, and I'm look up and I go, who would even be here? And there's a blonde girl standing there. And it's just a screen door. And I said, can I help you? And she said, are you Bobby? And I said, yeah. She goes, can I talk to you? I said, about what? And she said, about Home Shopping Network. Now, I'm like, how would anybody know I've even done this yet,
Right.
So anyways, I said, yeah. And I opened the door and let her in. She sat down. It was Lisa Stock,
Wow.
the inventor of Serious Skincare. And this is the true version. This isn't the bullshit that everybody else tells. This is the true version. I have all the documents to prove it. So I said, what can I do for you, Lisa? And she said, well, I need help. And I said, what do you mean you need help? She goes, well, I've invented this acne care. She goes, and my daughter, I need to take care of my daughter. And she goes, and my husband, and his name is Grover. Grover has been arrested with a freighter full of Thai stick in the San Francisco harbor. And he's getting ready to go to prison for a long time. And I need help to do something with the skincare. And I don't have any money. And he's in jail. And will you help me? I invented this for my daughter and it will cure acne. So I said, well, let me see some samples of it. So she gave me some samples of it and I had 4 or 5 people try it and it truly worked. It was pretty amazing how much it worked. So I called her up and I said, okay, I'll do something with you. A couple of days later, I called her and she came back over. She lived in Santa Cruz, California, but she had driven down and was like sleeping in her car waiting to hear from me. Right?
Wow.
And she said, I go, where are you staying? She goes, there was her and her daughter was sleeping in the car. I said, here. And I gave him like $1,500, I said, here's some money to get home. I said, let me figure this out. I'll put something together and we'll do a deal. So I hadn't even showed it to anybody at Home Shopping yet. And we put a contract together and I owned 85% of the company. Okay.
Wow.
And I gave her some more money. I told her I'd give her money monthly to keep her and her daughter alive while her husband Grover was in jail. But he went for 10 years, I think, at least.
Wow.
Wow. And so I said, I'll keep you alive. We'll manufacture. So she gave me some samples of it. And I asked her, do you own this name, Serious Skincare? And she goes, oh, yeah, it's mine. It's my logo, everything else. It's all mine, right? You sure? Yeah, show me the documentation. Okay, I'll get it to you. I kept asking for it. And I took the product and I brought it to a place called Gar Laboratories in Encino, California. And I said, make this for me. And they have a machine, they dump it in, they can tell you exactly what's in it, okay?
Right.
So
right.
we made it and we packaged it in a 4-bottle set. It was a cleaner, a cleaner, an acne line, a hydrate, and a conditioner, all for your face. At that time, it was costing me $14 to make that, okay? At the beginning. So now I'm trying to think. I haven't shown anybody at Home Shopping yet. I'm thinking, who am I going to put on with this? So a few days later, I got a phone call from Sly and he said, do you want to go scan? And I said, sure. And he came and picked me up.
Sly Stallone.
Yeah. He came down.
Rocky.
Sylvester Stallone came down and Jennifer, and they picked me up at Palomar Airport, which is close to Del Mar, California. I jumped on and we flew up to Telluride and we skied for 3 days. And I had sold Sly a lot of property up there, 21 lots. We skied for 3 days and we were on the jet and we were flying home and Sly fell asleep. And I said, Jennifer, would you like to go on Home Shopping? I have this new product called Serious Skincare. It's for acne. Would you like to go on Home Shopping Network? And she said to me, what's Home Shopping Network? I said, it's a network. It's in Florida. We sell product. I said, I have an acne line. It's amazing. And she was actually having a little challenge with acne at that time. Okay. She was super young.
Mm-hmm. She was a supermodel.
Yeah. And she was a supermodel. Then she said to me, well, I'm a supermodel. I make 10 grand a day. I said, well, if this works, Ben White said to her, if this works, you'll throw stones at the supermodel, right? So anyways, she said, well, let's think about it. So I got her a bunch of product and she used it and she called me up. She goes, this is amazing. And I introduced her to Lisa Stock and they fell in love instantly. And at that point, from that day right there, for 16 months, we flew from LA to Tampa to go to Clearwater to home shopping once a month.
Wow.
We were with Ben and Rudy and Bob Sacosta and Jack LaLanne and Roy. And every time we would come down, Roy would say to me, Bobby, man, are you retarded? Skincare will never, ever, ever sell on this network. Never.
Whew.
And I said, we got to just keep pushing. And Jennifer was a trooper. She said, I'm in. And she was modeling, but she would always be available 100% of the time. And we would do it again and again and again. And finally, she was dating Sly at that time.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, they broke up. Sly broke up with Jennifer and started dating Angie Everhart. And
I remember that.
Sly had sent Jennifer a Federal Express with the breakup letter in it. And all the rags and all the, TMZ and People Magazine, Inquirer, Globe Store, all picked it up, and they were all calling Sly a jerk for breaking up with his girlfriend, not even have the courage to do it himself, sending a FedEx letter. It was all over the cover of everything, all right? So I'm in Del Mar, California. We had just come back a few weeks earlier and been told no again, right? I'm in Del Mar, California, and the phone rings, and I pick it up, and it's Roy Spear, and he goes, Bobby, man, have you read the newspapers? I said, I just saw it. I go, I just saw it. He goes, get her down here, a woman scorned. He said, we're on our way. He said, ship 5,000 pieces. I said, we're on our way.
That's brilliant.
So we flew down to home shopping, and we went on. Jennifer went on air, and there was 85,000. We sold out the 5,000 in like 3.5 minutes, and there was 85,000 people online trying to buy the product, saying, I'm sorry he did that to you, you poor little girl. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Oh my gosh.
So now remember, I'm making it for $14. I'm selling it to them for $21. They're selling it for $49, right?
Right.
After that show right there, and 85,000 people ordered it, I started making it for $2.16. I was still selling it to them for $21, and they were selling it for $49.95. And so we were making $19 on every single one of them, and we were selling hundreds of thousands of them every show.
Wow.
And it went crazy. Then Lisa Stock came on, then her daughter came on, and then Jennifer kept going on, and it was just going great guns. And we had the first couple of years was amazing. And then the money got huge, and the egos got huge, and people forget who did things for them, and
unfortunately,
we struggled.
Yeah.
Although it kept doing extremely well. It did extremely well for 14 years. 11, it's still doing extremely well. But It just came to a point where I finally went, you guys buy me out, and they did, and they were generous. And I just say right now, I love Sly and I love Jennifer to death. I love them both. And their family is beautiful, and God bless them. And I wish them nothing but the greatest in the world. And I had nothing but amazing fun with them for a long period of time in my life. And
I have a lot of respect for him. I enjoy seeing his life now and him opening up about his life.
Yeah,
it's nice to see.
I flew all over the world with him. I skied with him. I've golfed with him. I spent many, many years with him, and all of them, Jennifer, all of them, and I have nothing but complete admiration for all of them. I love them to death. And
Bobby, you are one of the most.
She took that and she ran with that, and she did amazing things with it. And God bless her for doing that.
How many years ago was that you started that? 90?
I think we started it in. I think we started it in 92 or 92. Right 92. After we were all in Italy together. We did Cliffhanger. I was over there for quite a while. And right after Cliffhanger, so 92.
Wow.
Long
So
runs.
33 years. 33 years.
Yeah.
That's something to be proud of, really, right there. And the way it happened. Yeah. So I'm on the jet with Sly and Jennifer, and I ask her if she wants to sell my skincare.
He was
You
snoring.
kind of in close quarters.
He was
He's
sound
asleep,
asleep.
snoring.
He was sound asleep. I went, hey, by the way, you ever hear of Health Shopping Network? She goes, no, what's that? And I'm gonna put
People think the celebrities are interesting. The celebrities aren't interesting. It's people like you and I behind the scenes making things happen. Hey, what about this? What about this? They're not focused on that stuff. We are.
We had, I'm telling you, the amount of fun I had with them all over the world, I can't even tell you.
It's such a fun business, Bobby. It really is. And
Yeah.
I just want to tell everybody out there, hey, friends, if you're watching this guy is the most interesting man you'll ever want to meet. Seriously. He's really a great guy, too. A great friend of mine. Very proud to call him my friend. But if you have a product and you want to work with him, this guy is friends with Jimmy Houston. I mean, it just goes on. He's in the fishing world. He's in everything. The guy's fascinated. I'll put his information up so that you can look him up if you want to. And if you want to do anything with him and you want him involved with us, with $1 Million Inventions, he's one of our partners. And he's got a lot of good people around him, a lot of good financial people and a lot of good backers for any inventions. And he knows products, as you've heard. So Bobby's going to be on every week. We're going to have a weekly thing with Bobby. And we look forward to it. Bobby, I just had the best time with you, man, today. Thank you so much. Thank you for your patience.
No worries, but I love you to death. I enjoy doing this, and I look forward to doing the next one, and we'll have a lot more good stories.
Next time, I want to touch on the Twitch going to New Jersey. We forgot about pudding.
Next time we just talk about. Go ahead.
No, next time we forgot when we talked about Twitch in New Jersey and everything. We forgot to talk about pudding. We'll talk about that next time.
We'll absolutely talk about pudding next time. And we'll do a little talking about my dear friend Hunter S. Thompson.
Oh, I love that. That's what I want to do. I want to talk about Hunter.
All right,
let's do it next week.
All right, love you.
Thank you, Bobby.
Be safe.
Love you, pal.
All right.
Thank you so much, brother.
Right,
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Sincerely from my heart.
I had so much fun. I'll see you soon.
All right, buddy.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.